About 6 years ago, I started a project, and one of the things I had observed over the course of my career is some of the nuances and some of the trends going on around the work world. My background is largely with corporate America, with mostly small companies like IBM, and if you remember 9X, and I was with Accenture for a few years, and I also was with some small companies. But the fascinating thing is, I've always had this crazy fascination with the world of work. So what are the impediments? What are the things that hold people back? And it really comes down to 2 or 3 basic things. And I've tried to capture them here. One is, it's that I can't change, I have bills to pay. Anybody feel that issue, right? I mean, the reality is, if I've got kids and I've got schools and I've got weddings coming up and I've got, colleges to pay for, that can be a pretty limiting factor, can't it? I'll do that in a year or 2. Let me just get through the next couple of years and then I'll do something about my misery in my work. Well, what happens when you have that attitude? It never changes. We always find a convenient excuse not to do it. And so I really have kind of concluded that the biggest impediment of all is fear. Why is it that some people are ridiculously happy in their jobs and don't make very much money? You ever notice that? There are some people, there's actually some job classes that are remarkably content with their jobs, and there is almost no correlation between their satisfaction and their income. So I interviewed a couple of hundred people initially. I went to every career ministry known to man. I interviewed the spouses of the unemployed people, career counselors, outplacement people, you name it. Again, that typical type A fashion, to try to selfishly figure out where I belong and to answer some of those questions I talked about before. And part of that journey was interviewing people who, it was obvious to me, had figured out how to jump off the treadmill that a lot of people feel and get in an environment where actually they had sanity in life. It's what I call, they had a piece of work. Most people, when you say, what's the purpose of work, can you guess what you hear? It is to pay the bills. It is primarily to pay the bills. Oh, there's something else other than paying the bills? You know what it begs? The question is, what is the purpose of work? And this is where this last line, it still drives me crazy when somebody comes to me and says, Peter, I really want to transition from the business world to full-time ministry. And I just want to pause and count to 10 and say, so you're not in full-time ministry today? Because isn't the call that we have in whatever work environment you go into to be in full-time ministry for God? The most liberating thing for the average person in terms of having career options is lowering your costs. Devaney and I dropped ours by about 35% 6 years ago. Took us about a year to do it. But think about you dropping your costs, whatever is reasonable, whatever is possible. The beauty of that is your ability to have flexibility, your ability to have other options. The call to action is pretty simple. Are you in the right job? If you're working, if you're in the right job, keep on keeping on. My only challenge is make it purposeful. Why are you at work? Are you a missional worker, or are you working to pay the bills? And that can be a challenge. If you don't like your work, is it your work or is it your attitude? Is it that you're not missional, and you should be? If you don't like your work and you're in the wrong line of work, figure out how to solve that equation. Because God's design is not to have us miserable in our work.